All right. So today, real quick, what I want to talk about is something we talked about before. We kind of mentioned it about a month ago, honestly. And the person that brought it up wasn't me. It was the chat, actually. They brought this up, and I was like, man, the chat actually said something smart. I never actually thought of that before. And again, I know there's a lot of bad news going around right now. I don't want to, bring in more depressing news. I know everyone is going through some stuff right now, but this is just what I wanted to talk about today. So let's look at these pictures. Empty. That's Club Sega 1 on the corner. See the doors are closed. It's Club Sega 2. That sign right there, closed. Hey Arcade. I'm sure if you've been to Japan, even if you haven't, you probably know about this arcade. Closed. This is Mikado, the most famous arcade, right? Closed. So this picture was from Jonio today. So it's closed. Nobody's in there. I don't really want to talk. I just wanted to bring a little bit of awareness. If you heard me talk about it, you probably already know, but arcades in Japan have been dying for years now. Like the arcade boom was what, in the 90s, I think? That's what you hear Daigo and all those guys talk about. It was like the 90s when arcades were flourishing, before console gaming really took off. But they've been slowly on the decline, and the big killer now is mobile game, actually. So cell phone games has been really like the nail in the coffin. And like every year there'd be a couple really, really big arcades that would close down, and always like thousands of people go out. Just me personally, I think there's at least 10 plus arcades that I've been to in my time that were like pretty well-known arcades that have shut down. The biggest one recently that really hurt me was the game in Naha, the one in Okinawa. That place was incredible. But yeah, all this talk about arcades dying was before this coronavirus. So the coronavirus in Japan started in January. It's April now. And the first, I guess, it wasn't until, let's say March, like late February, March, is when people started kind of taking it a little bit seriously. So arcades were still open, but people slowly started declining. And then it was like mid-March or something, maybe early March, they stopped running events. So pretty much nobody was going to the arcades. So these arcades are open. They're paying electricity. They're paying rent. They're paying their staff. They're not making any money. So originally we thought, this is going to be really rough for arcades, but hopefully it's just 1 month, and then they'll get back to it. But Japan has finally announced or declared the state of emergency. So this has been on Twitter the past few days. Ready? This is from Hey Arcade. We are closed temporarily here. This is Game Newton. So Game Newton, there's 2 Game Newtons. There's one in Oyama, one in Shimura. So again, these guys announced the same thing. We're closed. We have to close down. This is a curry shop, but it's a gamer curry shop. I love this one. This is right next to our studio, but this is a curry shop owned by Fighting Game Player, but same thing, right? They're closed. They're closed. What was this one? Here, and then this one. Look, that's Mikado Arcade. Mikado Arcade, right? We're closed. They're all closed. They have to close. So they're not being compensated for any of this. We saw it happen in America with some tournaments where their local government told them they had to stop the event. They were able to get their money back from the hotels and stuff. This is not happening for the arcades. They're just taking that L. They're taking that L for an entire month right now. And that's what we know. From now, we know it's a month. This could go on further and further and further. So the thing about arcades that I say all the time is when an arcade dies, it's gone. It's never coming back, right? The arcade era is already finished. So you think of it as like endangered species, right? Like eventually there's going to be no more arcades. So each time one of these arcades goes down, like these arcades I just showed, these are places that have been in business for like 10, 20 years, that have been around since the bubbles. And these aren't, aside from Hey, these aren't corporate arcades. These are local. They're owned by community members. They're owned by the people there, and they are hurting right now. Why am I talking about this? Just so you're aware, this is the struggle. And yeah, I know there's definitely, everyone is struggling right now, like I said. But if you want to do something, they have turned to seeking crowdfunding. So yesterday I actually helped out Matsuda-san. I forgot to mention, Matsuda-san, if you don't know, this is not just an arcade owner. This is also Japan's biggest tournament organizer. This is the guy that runs Master Cup. This is the guy that runs Cooperation Cup. This is the guy that runs H&K Nationals. He runs Beat Tribe, the Virtua Fighter thing, right? He runs Super Turbo. He runs everything. So, like, all your favorite fighting game events in Japan, he definitely has something to do with them. So, not having the arcade up and running, maybe not even being able to run his event. So, he's got staff. He's got all these people he's got to pay too. So, it's really shitty. So, this is from Mikado. Again, they closed down. And right here it says, we are looking to use Campfire for crowdfunding. So they're asking the community members, like if you've ever been to Mikado, if you like Mikado, if you like watching it, if you want to go someday, they're asking for donations there from Campfire. Oh, sorry. This is another arcade. This one is in Tachikawa, which is west of Tokyo. Game Center will. Again, it's the same thing. They're looking for donations here. Right, so that's the link right there. Newton, yeah, here's Game Newton. They went to the problem to translate this in English, right? So there are many other arcades in trouble. Not very good English. I'll write briefly. If you can't afford it, please donate. It is my home arcade. So Game Newton, there's one. Big one second. Of course, the issue, like I said, is that everyone, because of this, is kind of suffering right now. And first of all, you don't have to donate. You don't have to give money to anybody, right? It's your money. If you need it for other things, there might be better things to spend it on. But it's basically, they're all asking if you can, if you're in the position to help these arcades out, if it's an arcade you've been to personally on your trip here, if it's an arcade that you've watched videos of and you want to keep going, if it's one you want to visit in the future, and you are in the position to consider donating. So yesterday, we did Game Newton stream. Again, they're running Co-op Cup. They're doing all that stuff. And they did one day, and I think in one day, they hit about $2,000 in a day, which is great. Obviously, that's great, but still, it's not enough. I'm not saying give them more money, but it's great that they were able to get that funding there. Mikado as well has gotten some stuff. So what they're doing, too, is not just, just donating is fine, too, but they're doing some other stuff. So Mikado is selling goods. So I know you guys love Mikado. I know of Jonio and Guilty Gear and all that stuff. They have some Mikado goods now that you can buy, and I don't even think they're shipping them out. Like, that's how ghetto this is. I don't even think they're shipping them out. It's just, if you buy it, they'll give it to you somehow. Teresa is going to go around the world and drop them off at tournaments there. This is Nakano TRF. So this is another very, very old, very, very famous classic arcade that they just said we're going to have to shut down. If, like, we can't stay open, we need funding, we need support, we're going to shut down. So what they're offering is either they're asking to sub to their channel on Nico Nico, or they're selling something called a free pass. So if you pay for the free pass, it's $60 a month, $100 for 2 months. You can use their tournament space for free, and you can choose the month too, because obviously you don't want to go now during Corona, but they're trying to do whatever they can to kind of stay afloat after this. So I'll get all the links in a list. We can just put them down there in the YouTube comments for the different ways if you want to. And then even if you can't, like I said, money's tight. Even if you can't, they're asking for anything, like sub. They all have YouTube channels and stuff. They're like, sub to our YouTube, follow us on Twitter, just do anything. Like, just please support us now in this time. Because yeah, this is rough. Like I said, like these arcades have been dropping like flies, like 15, 20-year-old arcades just disappearing before any of this even started. Even before this started, every arcade was barely staying afloat, especially in like the smaller areas too. But like all these arcades, videos up there from like 10, 15 years ago. I remember I was watching these videos before I even came to Japan 10 years ago. They could all just be gone in an instant right there. But yeah, it's whatever you guys can do, right? Follow, subscribe, donate, buy their goods, do whatever if you can. And again, the arcades too, I'm just translating what they're saying, but they're saying it in a much nicer way, of course. They're saying, please only support us if you can. But yeah, so that's it. Hopefully this video, somebody here, somebody watching will do something there. That's all it takes. Because like I said, when these arcades are gone, they're gone. They're not coming back.